Hello everyone and welcome to another game from the World Rapid Championship. Sorry about so many uploads today, but for the next 5 days either turn off the notifications or you will be receiving a lot of them, as a lot of games are being played. And this is a game from round 2. Levon Aronian faces Bassem Amin. And although he has his nice yellow shirt here in the profile photo, in the tournament he's not allowed to wear any bright colors, as it is regulations for the new dress code. So it's just no bright colors, and like I said in the previous video, shouldn't be a problem for everyone, but you know, Levon always plays in his colorful shirts, colorful shoes, colorful trousers, pants. So I don't know. I'm very interested if they will interview him and ask him what he thinks about that. But okay, besides that, the game is also quite excellent, so I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Levon with the white pieces opens with e4. We have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4. The Italian game is on the board. And now comes knight to f6. So of course, as this is a rapid game, Levon, without thinking twice, goes knight to g5. So the knight attack against the two knights defense. We have d5. The best reply there is to this attack on the f7 pawn. With e captures on d5 and now knight to a5, the oldest continuation. Also an interesting thing, when I was studying opening theory a long time ago, in books you always had knight to a5 or knight to d4, and this is, you learn this and you can play this. But in a tournament some year ago, I actually faced b5 over the board, and I was like, what? And I've never seen it, and it took me some time to analyze it. And I think it was also it was maybe a blitz tournament or something like that, and I went bishop to b3, which isn't all that great, because you just allow black too much. You can just go knight to d4 and you allow black too much play. I won the game in the end, but still, after this bishop to b5, if you ever see this, just go back. You don't want to capture it, then just queen captures, and, well, it's, again, you're giving black too much. If captures with check, captures you castle, black will have a very, normal development. Bishop d6, bishop b7, you can already get some threats in. So, I just wanted to mention this. If you see b5, play bishop to f1. So now you know it. And then after, whatever, let's say black captures on d5, you can just go knight to c3, you attack the queen, and then after the queen moves, now the pawn is nicely attacked twice, you can just pick it up then with the bishop. Or if not, you can pretty much play anything. But on b5, play bishop to f1. Just wanted to share that with you. Maybe all of you know this, and it's only me who saw it for the first time, but still, just in case. So, knight to a5, attacking the bishop, bishop b5 checks c6, so this is all standard theory, d captures, b captures, and bishop back to d3. Again, in books, in older books, you will find bishop to e2 as the main line, followed by h6, knight goes back, then you kick the knight away with e4, then you go bishop d6, and so on. Bishop to d3, however, doesn't allow black such things, because if h6, you can also go knight to e4, as the bishop now guards it. So we have knight to d5 by Bassem, Amin, and now knight back to f3. We have bishop to d6, defending the d5 pawn, and Levon castles. We have castles by Amin, and now rook to e1, putting more pressure on the e5 pawn. Rook e8 defending, and knight to c3 now. And of course, black is not interested in capturing. Black wants white to capture so he can fix his pawn structure. So f5, now introducing the threat of e4, which would just, win material. So bishop back to f1 now. Now you will be able to push your pawn, get the dark square bishop into the game, and so on. We have e4 by black and knight to d4 now. And bishop to c5. So all the moves up until this point have been played. There is one game where knight back to f6 was played, but here bishop to c5 is played, and it is a new move. So as of move 14, we have a completely new game. Knight back to b3 now, putting pressure on the bishop. Here, Amin trades, captures, and queen to b6 now, putting pressure on the f2 pawn, and Levon blocks with rook to e2. So it's ugly, it prevents the queen and bishop from entering the game, but black queen and bishop will not be able to remain here for very long, because knight a4 will just pick up the bishop. So bishop to d4, and now knight captures on d5. you fix black's pawn structure, but in return you get d3 in, you start developing your pieces. Also, you cannot capture, the rook would hang, and you are preparing bishop to e3 to just finish your development. With bishop to b7, d captures on e4, d captures, and then only now bishop to e3. And Amin, of course, takes this opportunity to pick up the bishop, as if captures by the rook, then f4 could be very strong. The rook will move, then e3 follows. Maybe playable, but for a rapid game, you don't want to allow black such active play. So f captures on e3, and now although you can push f4 here, the e3 pawn is pinned, queen d4 is just very strong. And now if captures, yes, you do get these two strong pawns, but well, white will get c4 in, and once d5 is played, this bishop is out of the game. So not the greatest option for to be played immediately. But okay, rook a to d8 attacks the queen, queen to e1 by Levon, and now that queen to d4 is no longer possible, f4 now. We have queen to a5 offering a queen trade, and now Amin trades. We have queen captures, rook captures, and f3. So he managed to really push those pawns. And now g captures on f3 is playable, but then you get e captures on f3, attacks the rook, rook f2, and rook captures on e3. So Levon did not want to play this, even though you can capture on a7 now and you will be fine. We always have to remember it's a rapid game, you don't have infinite time. So rook f2, he keeps the tension here. There's always the threat of rook captures on a7, and now rook to d1, which looks dangerous, but it's really not, since there is no way to increase the pressure. Although he does want to go rook e1 and pick off the e3 pawn. But okay, Levon captures on a7, attacking the bishop, bishop c6, and then now h4, making some room for the king. We have also, we just don't want to allow this pawn to start marching forward. We have rook to e1 now, threatening to pick off the e3 pawn, and of course Levon does not allow it. Rook d2, not e2, sorry. Rook to d2. Sorry, what? Rook to c7, first attacking the bishop. Sorry about that. We have bishop back to a8, and only now rook to d2. Here you allow the e3 pawn to be captured, but for in exchange you are getting the other rook to the 7th rank, and then you will have two pigs, and then, well, the g7 and the h7 pawns will fall. So if you capture it right away, then this of course comes into play, and if you don't, which Amin didn't, he played rook to f8, but it doesn't change anything all that much. Here Levon just played rook d to d7, with f2 with check, king to h2, and it was actually in this position that Bassem, Amin, resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. If you capture the bishop, then it's just mate. If some of you are perhaps beginners and you don't know this, mate, king h8 captures here, and now the other rook delivers mate, as the rook on f8 prevents the king from escaping. And even if you don't capture it, there really aren't all that many moves. You have to move the rook, otherwise you're getting mated, but there aren't all that many good squares. Still, you're just going to pick off all the pawns, king f8, you're going to capture here, threaten mate, and if you repeat, then you just get mated this way. Bishop c4 check, king f8, and rook h8 mate. So, again, with the rhymes on the channel, the rook on h8 delivers mate. But yeah, after king to h2, Amin resigned, and Levon shows again what a creative player he is, even though he's not allowed to wear any colorful shirts. And it's always exciting when someone challenges you to the knight attack. Levon shows that he studies the theory of the old games also, but it's being played a lot in modern chess as well. So not really that big of a deal, but people always enjoy it. I know I do. So yeah, like I said, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna cover some more games, so don't be surprised if you receive more notifications today, and the next day and the next day. I would like to thank Doug McNabb, Edward Baker, Maxim Pisanenchi, 1998, and Torrance Fike for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the FIDE Rapid and Blitz Championship for the next 5 days. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.